Hello everyone, my name is Makeda Voletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And for those of you who don't know me, I have a background in exercise and sports science. That is what my bachelor's degree is in. And then I went on to graduate school to study applied physiology, which is basically the same thing. Now, in the study of exercise and sports science, there's a lot of different things that we study. And one of them is biomechanics. And biomechanics is dealing with the forces that's being put on the body, is dealing with the physics and the mathematics behind physical movement. Behind physical movement. And so biomechanists, there's many different branches in the field of exercise science, but biomechanists are the ones who study, study and create. Well, biomechanists make helmets and safety gear. They make prosthetic limbs, and so it's long been known. I graduated from undergrad in 2003, and I remember learning about how awful concussions are, for one. Okay, so concussions. This is what this video is about. Is concussions. This new movie that has come out recently with Will Smith, the movie Concussion. It's interesting that it's like such a brand new thing, and like a light bulb went off for so many people, but this is not new information. Even though I have a degree in exercise and sports science, I've never been a fan of sports. I've always played sports. My specialty is training athletes to increase performance and decrease injury. That's what I am as a strength and conditioning coach. That's my specialty in the broader field of exercise and sports science. And my twin brother, he writes about sports. So he does news stories about sports. So he knows about what's going on. I don't know what athlete, I don't follow stats, none of that stuff. So I remember a few years ago when all this concussion stuff started coming out from the NFL, I remember my dad telling me about how many concussions some of these football players had in their physical career, in their professional careers. And it was astounding to me, because one concussion is a big deal, and this is not new information. Okay, if somebody would have spoken to sports scientists years ago, biomechanists years ago, like, people knew this. So if the sports scientists knew it, there's no way the sports medicine doctors didn't know it. It's just that sports medicine doctors, your best interest, the athlete's best interest, is not what they really, what is it? It's not their motivation. It's not what their priority. Their priority is not the health of the athlete. Their priority is getting the athlete back onto the field as quickly as possible. Sports medicine doctor, that's what they do. So whatever they have to do, drug you, push you back out there because you're big money. If you're playing college or professional, you're seen as money to them. Big business, okay? So they could care less. However, one concussion, just having one concussion in your life, is a big deal. Concussions are a major injury. It's not something minor. If you do have a concussion once, it is so critically important to fully recover. And I mean, that takes months of really resting your head, not doing things like getting on roller coasters and things that's going to make your brain fly all over the place in your head. So it takes a long time for your brain to fully heal. If you don't let that happen, if you rush back into something, that makes it worse. Now, if you get a second concussion, every concussion you get after the first one, every additional concussion, it multiplies in how damaging it is to your brain. Every time you get another one, it's even worse. So think about that. There were NFL players, not just NFL players, because it's happening in hockey too, and where they're getting multiple concussions and not even given the chance to fully recover, and they're acting like the sports medicine doctors are acting like they didn't know that. Maybe the coach didn't know that. Maybe the athletes didn't know that. But there's no way the sports medicine doctors didn't know that. And if they did, I don't know what they're studying. Because like I said, in the field of sports science, which I would think would be the same in neurology and people who study the brain, I would think, maybe not, but definitely in sports science, it's always been known that concussions were serious. Nothing to be taken as a joke. Now with that being said, because like I said, my degree is in exercise and sports science, there's a difference between the two. Exercise science, and exercise is supposed to be safe and effective. You should not get injured exercising. Okay? Sports, when you're dealing with sports, there are things that are damaging that put stresses on the body, that focuses performance and achieving certain, measurable goals. So like if somebody's a snowboarder, they know that if they snowboard, they could break their clavicle, they could break their hip, they could break their neck. They know that. They know that going into it. So when you have sports, you have some people who don't care about the risk, but there are risks. A sport like track and field has a lot less risk than a sport like football or skiing, for example. But I think that as long as you're honest with athletes and they know the full risk, if they choose to then do it at that point, because there are tons of people who will still play football despite all this concussion stuff, and that's fine, but at least they fully know and they're not being lied to. Now, actually, cheerleaders are the number one with concussions. Well, at least they were in 2003 and 2002. I don't know if that's changed, but they were the number one athletes, had the number one concussion rate. Then you have soccer and basketball. They have pretty high concussion rates as well. So it's not just football, but the issue with the NFL, I think, is not just the simple fact that people get concussions, but how they're pushed back into the game. And they're pushed back into the game where even if they don't, if you're a football player and you get a concussion today and you're back in the game next week or tomorrow even if you don't get, let's say you're back in the game tomorrow or next week, whenever that is, you get back in the game and you get shaken around a bit. You don't get a concussion again, but you get shaken around a bit. That in itself will make the injury worse and harder to heal, and it just exacerbates it. So with the NFL, you had a situation of both numerous concussions, athletes who had several concussions and never got a chance to fully heal as well. So you had that double thing, the double issue. I just don't see how the sports medicine doctors could say that they didn't know that. Okay, so this is not new information. So, and to me, I remember learning and thinking, how can helmets really help you? How can helmets stop your brain from shaking around in your head? A helmet can't save you from breaking your neck either. So I always wondered about the effectiveness of helmets. And now they're talking about how helmets, no, they can't stop the brain from shaking. So if you have a helmet on and you still crash into something crazy, your brain can still shake around in your head and hit your skull. And that's what a concussion is, the brain hitting the skull. And it swells. Okay, so that's my little concussion lecture. Trying to think if there's anything else I had to say. But just know that there are serious injuries. So if you've had concussions, you definitely want to stay away from roller coasters, because really fast roller coasters also puts the G-forces that it puts in the brain is not good. And if you already have you've already had brain injuries or concussions, that can make it worse. So just thinking about speed and your head being whipped around. Okay, and if you hit your head and you're not sure, never go to sleep. Always rest. Go see a doctor. Okay, so I hope this helps somebody. If you like the video, please join my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. You can also find me on Instagram at _body_scientist. And on Facebook, Makeda Voletta _ The Body Scientist. Okay, people, thanks and have a great day.